Welcome to today's podcast. I'm your host, Nate Nead, CEO of Marketer.co and SEO.co. We'll be talking about how businesses can make their supply chains more resilient and agile. And no, we're not just talking about adding more buffer stock or crossing our fingers that everything goes smoothly. We all know that's not going to work. Today, we're diving into a revolutionary new approach, optimal machine learning, or OML, and how it's reshaping supply chains across industries. But let's get real for a second. If you've been in business for any length of time, you know supply chains can be, well, a bit of a disaster. It's like planning a road trip, but your map is outdated, and halfway through, your car breaks down, and you realize your luggage is still at home. Chaos, right? We've all been there, but luckily there's a way out, and that's where OML comes in. So buckle up, folks, because today we're going to explore how this game-changing technology is transforming supply chains, improving decision-making, and making businesses more agile, efficient, and, dare I say, cooler under pressure. Grab a coffee or a snack, whatever gets you through this crazy supply chain world, and let's get started. All right, let's take a walk down memory lane. Traditional supply chain systems, how charmingly old-fashioned, right? These systems have been the backbone of business operations for decades. The problem? They're like that one friend who still insists on using a flip phone while the rest of us are living in the 21st century. Sure, they work, but they're painfully slow and behind the times. And when you need them to adapt, well, good luck with that. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're a small business owner. Let's say you make these amazing hand-carved wooden toys. You've got a great product, but your supply chain planning is stuck in the past. You've got a spreadsheet where you manually track inventory levels and you manually adjust your order quantities based on vague forecasts of demand. Sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, right? Now, throw in a global pandemic, a strike at your main supplier, and suddenly, those adorable wooden toys are nowhere to be found. This is the reality for many businesses stuck with traditional planning systems. They work based on historical data, but that data can quickly become irrelevant when market conditions shift. The system's slow, its assumptions are outdated, and when something unexpected happens, you're scrambling to play catch-up. Here are obvious downside: limited agility, delayed responses, and poor visibility into real-time changes. But there's an upside, too. Traditional systems are often simpler, and if you've got a small business with low complexity, they might just do the trick. But as your business scales, yeah, not so much. Now, don't get me wrong. Some businesses have survived by sheer grit and determination, working within the constraints of traditional systems. One of the best survival stories I know comes from a bakery in New York City. This place was legendary for its pastries. Their supply chain? Pure chaos. Every morning, they'd manually check ingredient inventory and make a quick decision. What needed to be restocked? What could wait? They survived off hustle and a ton of sheer willpower. But here's the kicker. There was a lot of stress and errors, and they only just barely made it through the pandemic without completely crumbling under the pressure of supply shortages and demand spikes. So, while traditional systems can work, you can only get so far on grit. And at some point, something has to change. Enter optimal machine learning, or OML, the superhero your supply chain didn't know it needed. OML is where machine learning meets supply chain planning, creating a system that learns from both historical and real-time data, adapts to changing circumstances, and makes intelligent decisions faster than any human could. Picture this. You're a business owner, and suddenly, there's a major disruption. Maybe a shipment from your supplier is delayed by a week. With traditional systems, you'd be left scrambling to figure out how to manage the stock. But with OML, your system immediately processes that disruption, analyzes historical trends, and considers current demand to generate a real-time recommendation. Maybe it suggests rerouting products from another location, adjusting production schedules, or even temporarily shifting focus to a different product line. It's not magic. It's just incredibly smart technology. OML is powered by a decision support engine that's always learning and adapting. Think of it as having a virtual operations manager that's always thinking ahead, analyzing the data, identifying patterns, and giving you insights you could never get from a manual spreadsheet. But OML isn't just about reacting to disruptions. It's proactive. You're not waiting until the storm hits. OML helps you predict when the storm is coming, so you can prepare accordingly. It takes into account demand forecasts, external factors like weather or political changes, and even your internal priorities, what's most important to your business right now. The advantages of OML: agility, efficiency, and smarter decisions. So, what are the upsides of OML? First, agility. The system can respond in real time to fluctuations in demand, production delays, and disruptions, allowing businesses to make smarter decisions faster. Second, efficiency. OML optimizes resources, whether that's production capacity, shipping routes, or inventory management. By analyzing all available data, it helps you avoid waste, cut costs, and keep things moving smoothly. And, last but definitely not least, scalability. As businesses grow, they face new challenges and complexities. OML grows with you, able to handle larger datasets, more variables, and more intricate supply chains. It's like having a personal assistant who's always learning, improving, and scaling as your business does. All right, let's get into some gritty, real-world examples. Because let's face it, this is where it gets interesting. Supply chain disruption doesn't just happen in theory. It happens in real businesses, to real people, with real consequences. Example number 1. A global electronics manufacturer facing constant delays due to semiconductor shortages. This was a company that, in its heyday, was known for top-tier gadgets and cutting-edge tech. The problem? They couldn't get enough parts in time, and when they did, the parts weren't always up to snuff. Their traditional supply chain system wasn't cutting it anymore. It was slow, reactive, and basically useless when things went wrong. Enter OML. After implementing the new system, the company's ability to analyze real-time data gave them a much clearer picture of where things were going wrong and what actions they needed to take. OML was able to recommend adjustments in real time, shifting production schedules, adjusting inventory levels, and identifying alternative suppliers. But here's the kicker. The founder's decision to switch to OML wasn't easy. There was a lot of skepticism. This tech wasn't exactly cheap, and the company had always done things the old-fashioned way. But when they saw OML cut inventory costs by 20% and reduce lead times by a third, it was clear. They'd made the right call. Now let's talk about the fashion industry. It's fast, competitive, and a perfect example of why OML is a game changer. One apparel company, let's call it Trendy Threads, was on the verge of going under. They couldn't keep up with fast-changing demand, they were constantly overstocking or understocking, and every fashion season felt like a gamble. But the founder, a gutsy entrepreneur who had never shied away from a challenge, saw the potential of OML. With a huge portfolio of clothing styles, the complexity of inventory management was a nightmare. But OML's real-time data insights made it possible to anticipate demand shifts and adjust production schedules accordingly. The company was able to optimize their entire supply chain, ensuring the right products were in the right place at the right time. Within 6 months, their operational costs were reduced by 10%, and their on-time delivery rate shot up by 25%. The entrepreneur, who'd once felt the weight of every decision, could now breathe easier and, more importantly, thrive in a competitive industry. The takeaway: technology plus grit, success. These stories show us something important. The best decisions aren't just about picking the right technology. They're about choosing the right moment to evolve. When businesses embraced OML, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They used their grit, their deep understanding of their industry, and paired it with smart technology to transform their supply chains from reactive to proactive. The future: what's next for OML and supply chains? 2 minutes. So where do we go from here? OML is still evolving. As more companies adopt this technology, the stakes keep getting higher. The future is full of possibilities. Real-time data, machine learning, and predictive analytics will continue to advance, making supply chains more intelligent and adaptive than ever before. Will there be bumps along the way? Of course. But for businesses willing to embrace this new wave of supply chain planning, the rewards are clear. And here's the thing. The companies that thrive are the ones that make the decision to be agile and that have the guts to stick with it. So, in conclusion, OML isn't just some buzzword. It's the future of supply chain management, and it's already proving to be a lifeline for companies that need to stay competitive. Whether you're running a bakery in New York or a global electronics manufacturer, embracing data-driven decision-making and machine learning can unlock untapped potential in your supply chain. Just remember, the key to surviving and thriving in this new landscape is the combination of smart technology and human grit. It's not just about the data, it's about the decisions you make and how you apply that knowledge. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're leaving with a better understanding of how OML is changing the game and why you should consider this approach for your own business. Stay tuned for more episodes on how to leverage technology to improve your business operations. Until next time, keep adapting, keep learning, and above all, keep surviving.